Hello cinema comrades, it is I, your unelected and unqualified governor of ruining your favourite East Asian films. Now bow to your sensei.
Bow to your sensei!
And today I might be ruining one of your favourite Southeast Asian films, as I'll be expanding my imperialist path of cinematic destruction to Vietnam. Enjoy. Now, When the 10th Month Comes is one of my all-time favourite films, and has stayed consistently within my top 10 since my second year at university. How many years has that been, I hear you ask? Mind your own business is how many years it's been, actually. Yep, I'm probably a lot older than you think I am. At least I hope anyway. But anyway, the reason for this video's geographical departure is this user right here, who has pestered me for over a year now to take on a Southeast Asian film. For some reason, I mean, he knows what my channel's called, but he's still persistent. Not sure why. This has been going on for so long that they no longer even ask me to make a video on Southeast Asian movies. This user simply comments on every video I post with a laughing emoji. And by the magic of human communication and inference, I know exactly what he means. And as I'm a man of the people and easily intimidated by stalkers, I thought I'd give it a go. Directed by Dan Yut Min in 1984, When the 10th Month Comes stands as a poignant cinematic exploration of personal loss and resilience against the backdrop of post-war Vietnam. Set in the aftermath of the horrific and unnecessary Vietnam War, the film portrays the emotional journey of a young widow grappling with the absence of her husband who perished in the conflict. Released nearly a decade after the war's conclusion, the film provides a nuanced perspective on a nation still reeling from the profound impact of the conflict. Vietnam, scarred by foreign intervention and ideological divisions, struggled to rebuild and reconcile with its turbulent past. The widow's narrative mirrors the experiences of countless Vietnamese women who lost their loved ones, reflecting the collective trauma of a nation seeking healing and closure. Historically, the film is situated within the broader context of Vietnam's quest for independence and unity. The absence of explicit references to specific historical events, apart from brief radio news announcements, allows the movie to embody the universal struggles faced by the Vietnamese people during this period. The narrative subtly echoes the nation's efforts to reconstruct its identity in the aftermath of a devastating war. Even the news we hear on the radio is used to aid specific plot points, more than it does making any explicit historical or political reference, especially helping the teacher character write a more convincing letter based on the current affairs he hears on the radio, but I'll get into that a little more later on in the video. Politically, again, despite being relatively subtle with the subject, When the 10th Month Comes can be seen as a reflection of the challenges associated with post-war reunification. The film delicately explores themes of continuity and adaptation, symbolised by the widow's attempt to preserve her husband's memory and the introduction of the local teacher and poet, who essentially plays a role of her husband that bridges the gap between the past and the present by writing letters to the family, pretending to be the deceased husband. As well as the teacher pretending to be the husband via letters, the husband's military comrade pretends to be him in person, to provide emotional relief for the grandfather character on his deathbed. The soldier is also emotionally affected by the situation, as he feels a strong sense of guilt for surviving when one of his comrades didn't. The spirits of the past are kept alive via the living, particularly as a means of providing comfort to the fading older generation, who are no longer equipped for the realities of what Vietnam is going to become. This mirrors Vietnam's broader endeavours to rebuild its fractured nation, transitioning from the aftermath of war to a period of economic reforms known as Doi Moi. I'm really sorry for the pronunciation of that. I know there's certain tonal elements that I'm just not getting, but I am trying, and hopefully one day I'll get it right. These reforms were officially initiated by the Vietnamese Communist Party in 1986 and aimed at transitioning from a centrally planned economy to a socialist orientated market economy, fostering economic liberalisation, international integration and modernisation. Although the film was made before these reforms were officially actioned, the initial stages of it occurred during the early 1980s, so the film was still produced well within the context of this huge reorganisation. But anyway, back to the actual film. In terms of the cultural and spiritual aspects of it, we need to explore the significance of the Ghost Festival in Vietnam. The Ghost Festival is a traditional East Asian event, including Vietnam obviously, during which it's believed that the spirits of the deceased return to the human world, and various rituals and ceremonies are performed to honour and appease these spirits. While there is no explicit reference to the traditional practices of the Ghost Festival, though there are bits here and there, the overarching theme of remembrance and the emotional connection with the departed echoes the sentiment of the festival. The widow's efforts to preserve the memory of her deceased husband, and again, the relevance of the teacher playing a role akin to the absent husband, may symbolise a form of spiritual presence or continuation of a connection beyond the physical realm. This is shown more literally in the flashback scene in the temple, where the protagonist informs her husband about the 15th of the 7th lunar moon, which is also known as, you got it, the Ghost Festival. She explains that her grandmother spoke about the location once being a place where the living could meet the dead. Later in the film, she visits this ghost market in an extremely beautiful and moving scene, where she finally encounters the spirit of her husband, who essentially tells her to let go of him and stop hiding his death from those in the living, demonstrating that the festival does, in fact, play a significant part in the film, even if it's indirect. After his death, within the primary timeline, there's another moving scene where she visits the temple alone at night. She lights incense and prays. The temple not only functions as a place of sentimental significance between the protagonist and her late husband, but an allegorical window between the living and the dead, a space with dual significance where she holds on to both the spirit of her husband and the memories they shared. This theme of encountering spirits is referenced in the opera scene too, where the protagonist reflects her own life by playing the role of another grieving wife during a different period of national resistance, and again when she encounters the soldier spirit in the temple, to whom her husband sacrificed his kite to before joining the army. Again, while the film may not explicitly reference the Ghost Festival as a traditional practice, its exploration of grief, love and the afterlife aligns with the broader cultural context of Vietnam, where rituals like the Ghost Festival play a significant role in dealing with the loss of and maintaining a connection with the departed. These thematic parallels suggest that the film draws upon cultural and spiritual elements that resonate with the Ghost Festival. These universal themes are woven into the story to evoke a sense of shared cultural experience and a reflection of the enduring nature of memory and connection with those who have passed away. The film ends as the grandfather character passes, who died relatively peacefully, believing he had one last encounter with his son. Even if this comfort is achieved through a lie or a phantom, the burden of Vietnam's future is no longer with the older generation. They've had their struggles and now deserve their peace. It's now the responsibility of the next generation to face these new realities. The widow finally vents both the pain of losing her husband and the guilt of keeping the truth away from his father. This becomes somewhat a releasing of the burden she's carried throughout the whole film, the burden of keeping the past alive and the ideas that pass with it, all whilst knowing herself that they're gone forever. The final shot is that of the Vietnamese flag, the peaceful passing of, or I guess you could say shedding of, the old Vietnam, along with its old ideas and the hopes of a new one. In conclusion, When the 10th Month Comes emerges not only as a cinematic gem, but as with most of the films I cover on this channel, is also a reflection of Vietnam's intricate historical and political narrative, intertwined with cultural and spiritual echoes that transcend the boundaries of time and loss in all of its manifestations. Through the lens of personal grief and resilience, the film captures the challenges of reconciliation and adaptation, resonating with the enduring spirit that propelled Vietnam toward a new chapter of healing and renewal. And it's just a great film, both moving and the performances are amazing. Watch it if you haven't, damn it. It's even available on YouTube, no excuses. And what's interesting is after rewatching the film for the first time in about 13 years, I realised that, on a personal level, I've gone through 3 different eras with it. I first saw it in 2005 and was immediately hit hard by its aesthetics, and I was extremely impressed by its well-executed drama. I was a film student and didn't really give a damn about anything beyond a systematic appreciation of a film as an individual entity. Nothing for me really existed outside the film itself. This changed when I saw the film for a second time in 2011, a period in my life where I began a journey into politics and history. The film's socio-political and historical relevance, and its importance as a broader window into Vietnam and its people, took a front seat for me at the time. Then, in 2024, I indulged in the trilogy of my experience with this masterpiece, and yet again, I came at it with a different lens. As I'm now a father myself, I related to the film a bit more on a personal and emotional level, rather than it being an objective, technical, or historical appreciation, even though that's the whole point of my channel, but I'm not exactly a beacon of consistency, am I? I actually spelled beacon as bacon in my script for this video. I don't know if I was just hungry or it was a brief moment of unconscious transgression against my Jewish heritage or something, I'm not sure, but either way I thought it was funny, and I'm sure you'll appreciate me sharing, despite not being relevant to the video at all. Anyway, thanks comrades for watching. Like, subscribe, do that thing with the notification bell or whatever the hell it is. Not that I make videos frequently enough for it to be useful, but hey ho. Thanks for watching and see you next time.